Good morning. Welcome back to Expert Insights. I'm your host Raju Mandhian. We are on the subject matter of excellence, and we finished talking about application services excellence in the Philippines and the Internet of Things and the way Internet is changing the world. Right now, we have a gentleman whose background is also IT, but he's also in the headhunting business. I don't know if you call it headhunting, but executive search, and he is the executive director of Viventis, also now the founder director of Jump Digital, which is a digital marketing agency. And he's been in the country for 20 years, so he does not call himself a Malaysian anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. Yu Ming Chen to talk about talent management excellence. Yu Ming, welcome to Expert Insights.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So 20 years in the Philippines, Yu Ming?
Yes.
Why did you choose Philippines?
Partly because I got a scholarship to pursue a postgrad studies.
At AIM?
No, in University of Asia.
Oh yeah, you are one of the people of Dr. Villegas.
That's correct.
Me too. I'm from UAP, by the way.
All right, good.
Great. And you got a scholarship 20 years ago?
By a German foundation, right? After 2 years, I finished in the National University of Singapore.
And what did you do in UAP? What did you study?
I pursue in a very different program from what I took in Singapore. I finished in computer science in Singapore. I took up industrial economic, master in industrial economic in University of Asia and the Pacific.
Right. But you're a Singaporean or Malaysian?
Malaysian.
Well, you studied in Singapore.
Right.
You studied in Singapore. So first, let's just go back a bit to what our previous guest was talking about, Noel Mendoza. No? I mean, that was an amazing insight into a changing world. And,
that's correct.
We are at the forefront of that, being Filipinos, no? And I understand that you play an active part there, because of your computer science background.
Yes, in a way.
So what is your feel of how things will be in the future?
The way I see it, the future that we will see or witness will be something very different from what we can imagine, and we can easily check in the horoscope of forecaster. I don't think people predicted Twitter, people predicted Facebook years ago.
Yeah, these are amazing applications, isn't it?
Yeah. So the social media is totally something, grow out of the world of Internet of Things, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, most all of us have seen the movie Iron Man. In that he's like, it's so intuitive how he makes and creates things. He talks to computers and they help him create sound. You think that's going to be, well, let me not be doubtful of that, but you think that's going to happen soon?
Well, I imagine the future, there will be a high level of automation of human intelligence, but I'm not so sure how much of the automation will lead to a high level of spirituality or reasoning or emotional thinking and perhaps even loving. I doubt machine will reach to that level. Although there are a number of movies have portray interesting drama around it, but I don't think we will ever reach to that kind of climax.
It does remind me of a movie called The Millennial Man.
Correct.
Do you remember that one? Robin Williams?
Yes.
Where he's a robot and turns into a human being eventually after thousands of years. That kind of put for a statement saying that intelligence can grow into wisdom.
Yes.
And wisdom can grow into humanity, because that's what the statement was, no? Because machines or we as a society are becoming so knowledgeable, and that we will eventually put in a certain amount of emotion into that high level of knowledge and intelligence that it may become almost human. How do you feel about that? I mean, I think as a civilization we are getting smarter and wiser, not just smarter but wiser.
I belong to a more orthodox, God-fearing person. I never think human will be able to create a spiritual human.
We won't be able to create spirituality ever.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's come to your subject matter expertise now. No, you are in the business of providing talent,
That's correct.
human resource, and you've been doing that for 20 years. No,
Yes, thereabout.
so tell me, how is the business today? I mean, how valuable is your service, and what kind of value add do you create for companies that require your services?
Well, the company that we founded, that I co-founded, Viventis Search Asia, back
Yeah.
in 2001,
Yeah.
which is now like 13, close to 12 years old, have a very interesting client value proposition that we say return on talent.
Yeah.
And the purpose is when company who are now gaining grounds in competition would certainly look for top talent, strategic talent.
Yeah.
And by far, when they hire a very strategic talent, it certainly change the way their business is being managed. It can grow the bottom line, it can grow the top line, it can create strategic expansion, not just in a year, it can lead the company to the next level, next environment, so to speak.
So this you're saying that here's an organization of say 100 people, yeah, and then you take in a different kind of an individual with a different set of competencies and talent, then you put him in, and he impacts the 100 people or how they function, how they move together, no? Is that what you're saying? Am I right?
Yes, to a certain extent, the value of talent cut across from a small organization to a mid-size, and more so in a larger organization. The need of, obviously there's a need of alignment with the leadership of this new executive with the company's owners to grow the business.
Right.
So if there's a case of growing the business, there's a case of turning around the business, or you can have someone to maintain the business as is.
So in the last 15 years that you have been providing such quality talent to companies, no? Can you cite an example without, if you want to name names, I'll be happy, but if you don't want to names, can you create an example of how you provided a certain talent, put him into a team, and how that team created a turnaround or growth? Is there any example you can cite?
Well, I cannot specifically cite any client per se, but I can obviously give near real examples, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I remember I worked with a couple of major, one of a major real estate company which is publicly listed. And
this is a Filipino company.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. And the plan was really to turn it around, to go full blast into residential, to resort, and to business building, office building. And I was tasked to look for a new COO, a new CFO, a new construction head.
Wow.
And in the span of 3 years, that particular company leaped up to top 3 in the country.
Wow, they must be very grateful to you for providing and finding that talent and recruiting him. No?
Yes, yes.
Or them, a bunch of them, no?
Yes.
So it took a 3-year process to turn that company around, no?
Yeah, to grow and, to turn it around and to grow it, I see.
Now, that means any organization has to trust you, an external agency, to find that talent, no? What stops them from doing it personally? Using in-house teams to go recruit and select good talent?
Our single most important value proposition to clients
Yeah.
who have inherently a strong recruitment resources in the organization is our market knowledge of where the top talents are. Secondly, our ability to profile them and to correctly match them with the company culture, strategic positioning. And lastly, obviously, the speed that we bring to the client, top talents that they are looking for.
So you're providing something faster and better,
Yes.
not necessarily cheaper.
No.
Not necessarily cheaper, no? Now, what is your process? You mentioned that your first process is your market knowledge.
Yes.
The second is you do profiling, no?
Right.
Do you have a specific method of acquiring market knowledge faster than the user himself, or do you, I'm sure profiling you might have, no?
Right.
But for market knowledge, is there any specific method that your company uses?
We build organization around industry practice leader that specialize in the industry. So therefore their interaction with top executive in the industry will help them to gain a higher insight. On second level, we do have a research team that cover news development all year round, and as well gathering news on the internet space.
Right.
So and then thirdly, we do a bit of highly intelligent work, not similar to what NSA is doing or Edward Snowden is doing.
I was going to ask you that.
We do a bit of targeted sourcing.
Right.
So we do look for people who are very happy where they are.
Right.
That will not take a call, will not respond to an email asking for their CVs.
Wow, that is amazing. So it's kind of covert work actually that you do, no?
Yes.
And you do it ethically, I suppose.
We have to.
No NSA there.
No.
Great. And
we do have to use a lot of public domain information.
yeah, which is today more available because, as Noel mentioned, Facebook provides you a lot of big
Right.
data. No? Now, my question is, you do this at all levels. You do sales and service, frontliners. You also do C-level. No?
Right.
Now, that's an immense range of talent to have market knowledge of and to do profiling. No? What's the size of your business and how many clients do you cater to, given the fact that you provide such a range of services?
We now have about 50 employees with about 40 of them in the front line, what we call career advisories, sort of, or client advocates as well. And business-wise, we're doing well.
So the second question is that when you find this specific talent who probably has a potential for it, is there any amount of grooming required to create the right fit? Do you handle that portion from what they are to where they need to fit in? I'm sure there must be some kind of makeover required, or at least some new learning to be acquired. Do you manage that process, or you let them learn at the job?
We do. We do a bit of informal executive coaching. We do have strategic partners in that area for executive coaching. But most certainly, when someone has been chosen for a role, we do go through a very interesting onboarding process. Mm-hmm. I have a very interesting example. It is a major telco, and we work very closely with the CEO. He just hired through us the chief marketing officer for the biggest business unit for the mobile. In fact, we actually arranged for a 2 hours meeting with the CEO to go through several interesting organizational information. First, talking about organizational setup and politics. So who are the other senior executives at the same level that have aspired for the position, and what are the challenges in the business, and then helping him to create what I call a 100 days plan upon taking the job.
Right, so he comes in with a certain commitment already.
Yeah, and understanding, because I don't believe any executive will be successful if he come in cold.
Right.
And on high idealism.
Right.
We work in a highly political environment.
Right. So when you have country managers or country representatives or GMs move, it's a long and a slow process.
Yes.
It's not like, hey, start on Monday. It doesn't happen like that, no? So now my question is that in the process there are certain costs involved on all sides.
Right.
On all sides. You as the agent, the talent itself, and the recipient company, no? So lots of time and money goes in. What if the match doesn't happen? Is there risk involved in the match not happening?
Yes, there are risks. As a business practice, we actually provide a guarantee, so a replacement for free if it didn't work out.
Oh, so you bear the losses. You take the brunt of the time and money losses.
Yes.
No? Well, that's interesting stuff, and I'm glad that there are people who are watching this will benefit from this information. No? Today, Yu Ming, what today to you is good talent? What defines great talent? Let's say.
I look at 5 areas. I mean, on a very senior level first, I just simply have to re-echo this wonderful character that is established by the current CEO of GE, Jeff Immelt. The ability to be aware, so talking about humility, so someone who can see and recognize changes are happening. So the sense of awareness is very important. A lot of people at the very senior level are clouded. They saw winnings, they saw great achievements, so they can kind of sometimes sideswipe, blindsided with a lot of changes that are moving too fast for them to apprehend and comprehend. So that's one.
So a wholeness of understanding of
Yeah.
not just what their specific business is or their specific industry is, but a little bigger wholeness of.
Yeah, the awareness is also the ability to hear things out, to recognize, what are the, dynamics of the business that is changing.
Yeah.
So this is a very deep.
It's almost Dalai
value.
Lama kind of a thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's what you need in a leader right now. I mean,
Oh, that's number one for you.
Yes.
That's number one for you. Okay.
second is courage. You have to be guts. I mean, guts to admit you make a mistake. Okay, you got to rectify it. God got to say that I'm the one at fault.
Yeah.
And guts to usher and mobilize the whole organization to move and to adapt, to change. And then third, of course, it have to be.
Guts would probably be tied in with action, like
Yes.
like get up and go,
Yes.
like stand for it. Okay, yeah.
The courage is not just simply a notion. It should be courage with conviction for action.
Okay. 2.
Yeah. 3 is technology savvy. have to know what.
No more black dial-up phones,
Yeah, no. Have to know big data. Have to know.
It's a tough thing, Yu Ming, I must tell you. I mean, awareness and human awareness and getting savvy on technology is a challenge at the same time. It is a struggle, I must tell you. Okay. 3. Okay, so you must be tech savvy. You must know like how to use the power of technology.
Or
how
at
to use
least the understanding of it.
Yeah. Not hands-on, but
Yeah.
at least to know what it can do.
And then the 4th will be very multicultural sensitive.
I think that will be part of the first one.
Yeah, I guess so. But
Similar.
it's more specific because the dominance of the U.S. and the Europe executive. So
the fact that every culture is now flattening out, and we need to deal with all cultures in real time today.
Right.
Because okay.
it got to be very sensitive. And as I was having a chance to read a bit of news this morning, McKinsey Institute said that the market of the emerging economy is so big, it's like $30 trillion. So for an U.S. executive, he got to be very culturally sensitive to this market.
What do you mean U.S. executive?
Meaning most of the big conglomerates, most of the global organizations are still U.S. and Europe
that's what
dominant.
you mean. Yes. So you're saying if they're coming from a Western perspective, they need to become culturally aware of the Asian or the relationship-based perspective.
And also among Asian, the tendency is, the Asian also operate very much in the silo, in the country-specific culture and environment.
High context.
Yeah, the requirement of them to be very high context is very
So
big.
culturally sensitive, totally aware, tech savvy, gutsy, and what was the 4th, 5th one you said?
The 5th one is simply balance.
Oh, of all those 4 things.
I mean, he got to live his life. He got to have he got to achieve what I call unity of life.
You mean now our topic is talent management excellence. We really spoke about talent selection currently as of now, no? And also what makes good talent, no? What are your recommendations for Filipino companies? Because Filipino companies are family-based, high context, high power, relationship corporations, no? What are your recommendations, quick recommendations for managing talent? That means nurturing and making them grow. Here in our country, let's just bring it down to home today.
Obviously, the first thing that they need to do is to to align the strategic direction that they have with the corporate resources that they have. So are they going to bring in external human resources from key executive to HR? And if they felt that there's a need to be more competitive in a global scale and a change in their management style and culture, and therefore the first thing that they need to do is to take a step back and come up with a plan, and then more important, hire a good HR.
All right, you.
Hire a good
Viventis,
HR.
all right.
Yeah, hire a good successor if you intend to professionalize the organization.
Right, right.
And
So
then the family to step back as part of the board.
Yeah, so give up some of the old habits and adapt into a changing, a more dynamic global culture. That's
Yeah.
what we need to do. Great. Yuming, let's talk about that. Talk about the fact that you also own another company called Jump Digital, and together both of you are running this. So
Right.
your chance to talk about this. Can you zoom in on this, please? Yeah.
Well, let me do a bit of small promotion here.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
Zoom in. Yeah. Zoom in there. Yeah.
Viventis and Workstream will be launching.
Workstream.
Yeah, Workstream.
That's your third company. That's your
Yes,
third
that's right.
partnership. Yeah.
Workstream conferences will be organizing a kick-off training called Leadership Empowerment,
Yeah.
Leadership Enhancement for business owner, senior managers, and partners.
Zoom in, pa. No?
With,
Yeah.
with two very highly prolific speakers, one Francisco,
Yeah.
and the other one, an esteemed colleague of mine, Lin Muki. Yeah. And this will be held on November 26 in Crown Plaza. You can check our Viventis website, or you can call our trunk line 637-5636.
Okay, Viventis, I think that's where you'll find it. No, there's no
Yeah.
other URL here. No,
Right.
Workstream Conferences doesn't have a website. So this happens on November 26th at the Crown Plaza, 7:30 to 10 a.m., 11:30 a.m. I'll see you there.
Sure.
And what are your dreams for yourself and for the Philippines now that this is your home?
I would rather dream about the Philippines. I think Philippines can play a remarkable role in the global human capital.
Yeah.
And having a wonderful legacy in education, and probably one of the most cosmopolitan country,
Yeah.
with the blending of Asian,
Yeah.
the blending of Europe, the blending of American. If the country leadership are able to put a good strategy around the human resources, I think
Natural and human resources.
natural and human resources, we will be among the top 10 countries globally in the next 10 years.
Good. I'll see you at the top.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Yuming Chen.
Thank you.
Salamat for being on Expat Insights, and good luck with leadership enhancement on November 26th, and good luck with what you're doing for this country. Salamat and God bless.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. So thank you for watching Expat Insights. I hope you enjoyed these two conversations with Noel Mendoza and Mr. Yuming Chen. And we spoke about application services excellence and, of course, talent management excellence. I'll see you next week. I'm your host, Raju Mandian. Stay watching and have a great weekend. Salamat and mabuhay.